Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. I'm Barbara Hardt.
And I'm Doug Armitage. And now for this week's news.
Our intro music is performed by local band New Family Dog. Lead vocalist John Black Dog Ridnell says this song was inspired by a memory of a woman. Their new album is called Halo. It features John Ridnell, Miles Ridnell, Sally Van Meter, and Michael Wooten. You can find out more information about John Ridnell at www.johnridnell.com.
This episode is brought to you by the Very Nice Brewing Company, Mountain Man Outdoor Store, Hardt's Backhoe, Brightwood Music, and of course, the Mountaineer newspaper.
There ain't nothing sadder than being alone in the middle of a party that's being thrown. Been that way most of the time.
On February 16, 2020, a sociology student from Milan, China, named Alex Lee, arrived in Dallas, Texas after dropping out of school to participate in the 2019 Hong Kong protests. He is currently attempting to bike across the entire length of the continental United States, starting his massive journey in San Francisco, California, and planning to end in Boston, Massachusetts. I recently had the incredible opportunity to interview Alex Lee, as he was recently hosted by Dave Walker and Gussie Walter, courtesy of the website warmshowers.org, which provides bicycle tourists with places to stay completely free of charge. This interview is going to be a lot longer than the previous interviews I've done for this podcast, because this is a very special one for me. I don't usually promote the interviews I do in the physical paper either, but this one to me is incredibly important. Not only do we not have a third story for the podcast this week, but I just couldn't bring myself to remove any of the incredible stories that Alex told me throughout the duration of this interview. Yes, this podcast has been edited some. Pauses and repetitive words have been taken out for brevity. That being said, none of the stories that Alex told me in this interview have been removed, reordered, or recontextualized. These are the stories that Alex told me in all of their glory, and I am so excited to present to you ex-sociology student, Chinese immigrant, biker extraordinaire, and most importantly, human rights advocate, Alex Lee.
I'm Alex, folks. I'm from mainland China, and 2019, I participated in the Hong Kong protest. Actually, at that moment, I was a university student. My major is sociology. But I feel like it's a revolutionary time and there is a revolutionary movement. So I'd better not sit down in the classroom and listen to the teacher. I'd better participate in the Hong Kong protest to support people who really would like democracy and freedom. I like the brave people. That's why I went to Hong Kong to support them.
I didn't know you participated in the Hong Kong protests.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you go specifically to Hong Kong to participate in them, or were you already there?
I quit my school in Tokyo, Japan. I went to Hong Kong Street, and before I went to Hong Kong, I knew there will be dangers. I stayed in my hometown and thought about it for 3 months. Finally, I made my decision. I went to Hong Kong, and in, I guess, maybe 30th October 2019, I arrived in Hong Kong. But you know what? The next day, I was attacked by a crazy guy who hated the Hong Kong protest. That's quite, astonishing. I feel like I knew there will be dangers, but I don't even know. It's quite soon. So when he attacked me, I paid him off. And he hurt my right eye, and I hurt his ear. Finally, the Hong Kong cops arrested both of us. I was a victim, so I was released very soon, maybe just after 2 days. And the crazy guy, he stayed in the prison for almost 1 month, but we had to stay in Hong Kong for 3 months because we are on the bail. So the first month and the second month, I participated in Hong Kong protest quietly as a no-name guy. But the third month, I felt like I can be a symbol of new generation Chinese student to make speech before rallies or assembly. So I contact the organizers of the rallies. They let me have a short speech before rallies. So became that I got a lot of interviews from the local newspapers. The rallies sometimes only maybe 50 or 60 people, and sometimes maybe 60,000 or even 100,000 people.
You quit being a sociology student.
Oh yeah.
At that point. Did you ever intend to go back to studying, or at that point was your goal pretty much to find ways to support the people and make a change like that in the world?
At that moment, I just quit my school, and I had a plan. After I participate in Hong Kong protest, I'm gonna go to the United States to walk across America from San Francisco to Boston. And I also have an idea to take a look at American universities, because I guess maybe I would like the education system in the United States. I prefer maybe, find a university or college in the United States. But because of attacking, everything just shut down. So in Hong Kong, in the 3 months, I almost spent all my money. I was stolen by someone. I'm not sure. When I joined the Hong Kong protest and we passed a city park, I felt like a little bit tired, so I had a short break. When I woke up and I found part of my money was disappeared. And that's why I made my decision to go to the Hong Kong International Airport. Maybe I can stay in the national airport for some time and I can save some money, because the transportation fee is also expensive. If you don't need to go to the hotel, you can just save the money. And you can use the money to participate more the protests. And I made my decision. I stayed at Hong Kong International Airport for a little bit more than 1 month. It's quite a funny experience. In the winter, quite noisy, but it's kind of like Tom Hanks in the terminal. In the movie, The Terminal. It's quite funny, yeah.
After staying in the Hong Kong International Airport, did you come to the United States after that?
Actually, no. When I stayed in the Hong Kong International Airport, I feel like even in a very tough time, you still to keep clean and tidy. Especially, I had to participate in rallies and assemblies to make the speeches. So I take the simple shower in the disabled person's restroom, and I wash and dry my clothes in the 24-hour laundry shop. I feel like if you can keep yourself clean and tidy, you can give people a good impression and let people know, even in the hard time, you can still have the strong-willed heart. And because of the speech, I got a lot of interviews from the local newspapers, because I'm the first guy, the first mainlander who attended the rallies and made speech before rallies. So a lot of reporters, they're just curious about my story. But if you just become to be famous, it's very dangerous, especially in China. If you come back to China, I guess maybe you will be arrested immediately. That's also the Hong Kong protesters, they concerned about my situation. So finally, they considered I couldn't stay in Hong Kong or came back to China anymore. So they sent me to South Korea. And in South Korea, we didn't fix my visa issue problem. So they sent me to Jakarta via Taiwan. In Jakarta, Indonesia, I stayed about a little bit more than 2 weeks, and I fixed all my visa issue problem. So they sent me to the United States via Tokyo, Japan. And 2020, February 16th, I arrived in Dallas, Texas. And they found me a sponsor, West Texas. It's an NGO. They gave me a 1-year sponsorship, about $700 per month, life expenses, and apartment. So 1 year sponsorship like that.
So you had the year sponsorship, And then the main reason I wanted to come and interview as well is you have been attempting to bike across the United States.
Oh, yeah.
How was that inspired? When did that start? And how much progress have you made?
I feel like, before I embarked on my trip, actually, even before I participated in 2019 Hong Kong protest, I had the same idea. And last December, I walked from West Covina, LA, to Barstow, California, about 123 miles. But I hurt my right leg because I have the flat feet. If you have the flat feet, you couldn't walk such a long way. So this year, I changed my mind. I made my decision. Maybe I can back across America. So even though I have the flat feet, it doesn't matter. I bought a Walmart $100 bag. Its name is Roadmaster. And people told me it looks like an iron trash. And you couldn't use iron trash to even arrive in Las Vegas. But you know what? I used my iron trash, the $100 bag, to arrive in Salt Lake City. But it's a very cheap bag, so it still spend a lot of money. You have to repair it almost each week. But I made it. The trip is very funny. I got a lot of stories. And I feel like before I embarked the trip, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I feel like it's quite easy, back across America, it's quite easy. So, just, buy a bag and pick something, take the food and a drink and just go. Yeah, it's quite easy, but it's not so easy like your video said, It's quite difficult, If I knew that's so difficult, so tough like that, I don't even know I still have the courage to embark the trip. Yeah, you will meet, the wildlife, the animals, and a lot of the unpredictable problems, like you have to fix the problems of your back, a lot of things. And the toughest way to me, I guess maybe in Mojave Desert. In Mojave Desert, it's quite a lot of ways full of signs. It couldn't be called as a road. In Ladlo, California, Google Maps showed me a wrong way. So it's an unnamed way. So,
oh no.
Yeah, at that moment, it's about 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. I went through the heart of the Mojave Desert. I saw a lot of the scorpions, and I saw the maybe coyotes or something, and I saw the snakes. And on my phone, I searched the website. The website shows me there are rattlesnakes, galley monsters, mountain lions, scorpions, and a lot of animals. So I feel like, couldn't ride in the very gravel roads full of the signs. Even pushed back is very harder. So I went through the desert about 5 miles and I made my decision. I can hear the voice of the wild animals. And I feel like in the night, it's the hunting time. Google Maps showed me there is still 25 miles. If I continue to go through the heart of the Mojave Desert, maybe I will be the dinner of the mountain lions. So I tried my best to come back to Ludlow. And to find a gas station, they offered me a picnic table. So I had a short ride on the picnic table. And from Ludlow, I guess maybe the next station is also on the Route 66. It's a small town. Its name is Amboy. It's an abandoned city. And from Amboy, there is only a gas station and a convenience store. And from Amboy, I continue to go to the Cal Baker Road and Castle Sema Road and Sema City. When I arrived in the Morning Star Main Road, I slept beside the road. And the cars, the pickups, they come and go from my head to my feet. But I feel like it's quite tired, quite exhausted. And that day, I guess maybe I rode maybe 80 miles. A lot of uphills, also very steep, so I quite exhausted. So even though there are mountain lions or rattlesnakes, okay, let them eat me. So yeah, I just want to get a short sleep. And something is quite funny is people, they always curious about a story. How can I use $1 from Mesquite, Nevada to Salt Lake City, Utah? It's quite funny, when I arrived in Mesquite, Nevada, there is a casino hotel. Its name is Virgin River Casino Hotel. And I had a good sleeping in the casino hotel. And the next day, I felt a little bit thirsty, so I just wanted to buy a Coke. So I went to the vending machine. But I guess maybe my head wasn't very clear. And I just woke up. So there is a place to pour the cash into the vending machine, and then you can buy the Coke. But I put my debit card into the cash place.
Oh no.
So the debit card was totally damaged. And I called the service. They told me you should call Bank of America. And I called the Bank of America. They told me, first of all, you should find the Bank of America branch in the city. So Mesquite, it doesn't have a Bank of America. So at that moment, I considered St. George is a big city. So maybe I can find the Bank of America in St. George. But it doesn't have any Bank of America branch. So I continue to go to Cedar City, then Mannersville, then Milford, then Delta, then Santa Cruz, then Provo, then Draper. All the cities in Utah, they don't have the Bank of America branch. Only Salt Lake City has the Bank of America. And at that moment, when my debit card was damaged, I still have maybe $30 cash, and I spent $25 to repair my broken back, and I still have $5, and I bought 2 gallons of water, so I have $3 finally, and I used the $3 just embarked my trip from Mesquite, Nevada, and via Littlefield, Arizona, to arrive in Santa Clara, St. George. And I met a good warm shower host. His name is Jared Purdy. And they offered me a good place and let me take a warm shower. And finally, before we say goodbye, Jared's wife, Mary, gave me $50 and a lot of drinks and food. And when I arrived in Cedar City, my warm shower's name is Ken and Pat. Before we say goodbye, Ken gave me an envelope. And I opened the envelope in Salt Lake City. It has $40. The most unpredictable thing is in Delta, Utah. Normally, I will wave my hands to the drivers and to the backers, just like a habit. And at that moment, a good lady stopped her car and asked me, "Do you need a place to stay?" Oh, I said yes. Actually, I found a warm shower host in Delta, but he's gonna come back on Monday, but that day was Sunday, so I immediately answered her, yeah, I need a place. So she gave me her address, and her son welcomed me, and she hosted me for one night. And before we say goodbye, she gave me a lot of drinks and food, and also gave me $100. At that moment, we are just, completely strangers. I didn't even know her at all, just stranger. And she offered me a very good dinner, and also hosted me for one night, and also gave me such a lot of money. It's quite, unpredictable. And to me, the most amazing part in the trip is the unpredictable things. You don't even know what will happen. It's quite, amazing. And from that, finally, I arrived in Draper. And the Draper, I had a warm shower host, Nick, and her lovely wife, Daniel. They offered me a good meal, and also Nick helped me to repair my bicycle, so I can just, arrive in Salt Lake City very soon. And I feel like, the Salt Lake City is quite beyond my expectation. Normally people will feel like Utah is very traditional, conventional, and conservative state. People will love Trump, and people will love Republican Party. In Salt Lake City, you could see a lot of LGBTQ flags and Black Lives Matter flags, and people are pretty relaxed. And I feel like maybe that's the differences between the big cities and small cities. But if you arrive in Cedar City, you will see something very different. Maybe you will see 2 flags, and there are some words on the flags: fuck Biden and Trump 2024. Yeah, it's quite different. So in Salt Lake City, I really love Sarah and Scott. They are also my warm shower hosts. And Scott invited me to participate to different kinds of parties. The LGBTQ party and a punk music party. It's very funny. That's my first time to attend the LGBTQ party. And that's my first time in my life to see such a lot of gays, lesbians, and transgenders. They are friendly, just like, most of the people. They are very friendly. It's also a special experience to me. And from Salt Lake City to Denver, I had a very ambitious plan. Use my bicycle to cover almost 70% or 80% national forest in Colorado. It's quite a lot. But you know what? Maybe people have the very ambitious goals, but capacity is just small. So I just climbed the Ashley National Forest and burst out the path and finally arrived in Black Hawk. And there are really a lot of climbings, a lot of steep hills, only maybe 2 or 3 the steep hills, mountains. I just feel like it almost made me die. So I just gave up on my ambitious plan to cover 70% national forest. And another thing I gave up the ambitious goal is because the Hong Kong people, they want me voice for them. That's also one of the important missions to me. I love democracy and freedom. And I also would like to support people who really love democracy and freedom. And I feel like, this year it's very bad. The Communist Party, they shut down and they forced the newspaper to be closed, like Apple Daily. And the other newspapers or television, the Communist Party forced them to close. And people just, fear to say something publicly. They couldn't even express their opinions. It's quite a bad time. And a lot of people, they feel like, hopeless and helpless. So in the devastating time, I just want to tell people, even in the very toughest time, you can also keep your hope and keep your faith. And I know a lot of Hong Kong people prefer to let Britain or let the United States to help them, let the free world to help them. But I'd like to say something. If you want people help you, first of all, you should have the confidence. You should have your own toughness. You should let people know you still have hope. If yourself just hopeless, how can people help you? So that's my first time, my first experience to embark the trip back across America from LA to Boston. And I don't even have any experience. Before, I didn't even go to gym. I just like a homebody. So if people like me can do something amazing, can still keep the faith, can still do something very awesome, I just want to tell the Hong Kong people, you can also do something small. Maybe in the future, there will be a big event. And I just believe there is a miracle if you believe in the miracle. So to me, it's very tough on the trip because, a lot of times you have to deal with very tough situations. The YouTube videos never show you the dark side. They always show you the bright side, the highlight side. It seems like very amazing, very awesome, but there are still a lot of, the troubles. And for instance, I didn't even know a lot of highways, they don't even have shoulders. For instance, you know what? Because of the mudslide, I-70 was closed. So you have to use the Highway 40. And Highway 40, a lot of parts of the Highway 40, they don't even have the shoulders. A lot of the big trucks from Craig to Denver, and a lot of pickups with their huge trailers. Sometimes they are really close to you. At that moment, I consider maybe I'm gonna die on Highway 40. Another thing is riding in the dark. Sometimes the drivers, they couldn't see you very clearly. You are very tired. And the drivers, they are also very tired. So they wouldn't pay a lot of attention to the riders. So sometimes you have to pay more attention because, if there are barriers in front of you and you can't see the barriers, you will get an accident immediately. And I have several times rode in the dark, even though in the freeway, like, I-50 or I-80. It's quite a lot of big trucks. You have to take a lot of attention. Otherwise, it will be an accident. I feel like the worst freeway I've ever seen is in Wyoming. Some part of I-80 even worse than gravel road. In Wyoming, I was very curious about Wyoming, so people always tell me Wyoming has nothing and it's quite boring. I want to give a try to see how boring Wyoming it is. So from Salt Lake City, I went to Park City, then I went to Evanston, Wyoming, then via Evanston to go to Little America. It's just like a bigger Amboy. Only a hotel and a gas station and a convenience store. And from Little America to go to Green River. And I was planning to go to Rock Springs, but people told me Rock Springs is just like a bigger Green River. So if you arrived in Green River, you don't need to go to Rock Springs. So from Rock Springs, I down from Green River to go to Manila, Utah. I went to three cities in Wyoming, but I feel like, I'm wrong. People are right. Wyoming is boring. And some of the part of the Wyoming, I guess maybe it's quite ugly, especially from Evanston to Green River. Green River is a small, beautiful town, but I feel like, it's just like a normal tourism hotspot city. In Utah, I would like Provo. Provo is pretty amazing city. There are really a lot of old fashionable buildings and people are pretty relaxed. I feel like Cedar City is also beautiful and San George too. And in Colorado, from Manila, I go to Dinosaur via Vernal. That day it's quite a long way, and even in the night, I still rode maybe several hours, about 4 hours or 5 hours. Finally, I arrived in Dinosaur at 10:30 p.m. It's about 91 miles, and I went through the Ashley National Forest. And I feel Dinosaur is also like very small town. If I choose a city to visit, I'm gonna visit Vernal. Vernal is pretty beautiful. And from Dinosaur, I went to Steamboat, Kremlin, and Evergreen, and Denver. It's quite different because in more heavy desert, it's 120 degrees. And in Kremlin, it's only 37 degrees. I slept in my thin sleeping bag in the RV park for a night. It's quite cold. Maybe I woke up 10 times. And when you're down to Denver, it's 97 degrees. It's very hot. So I'm lucky biking across America can let me such a lot of amazing things, can see such a lot of different views, can talk to such a lot of different people. Before I embarked on my trip, I felt like, all the Americans eat fast food every day. But in Utah and in Colorado, I feel like people prefer to eat the healthy food. They don't even drink Coke. All my warm shower hosts, they have the sparkling water, but they don't have Coke or soda. That's quite different from Texas and California. And from Denver, I'm gonna go to Nebraska. And people told me from Denver to Chicago, there are 1,000 miles cornfields and soybean fields. Quite boring. And to me, something really gave me the toughness to do the trip. I don't even know, if you only see the newspapers or you only watch the television, there are a lot of really bad news, like gun shootings, or they hate Asian Americans, like that kind of news every day. But even though I'm a Chinese, the local Americans, they treat me very well. And most of people, they live in a small town, their lives are very peacefully. So it's quite different from what I read and what I saw in the newspapers or in the television. So I feel like, if you want to know a real United States, maybe you should back across America as well.
Is there anything else that you would want to add about things you've taken away from the trip or what started you on the trip in the first place?
My first place is from the downtown, Los Angeles, and my final destination will be Boston. So Firstly, I was planning to go to Maine, but I guess maybe Boston is a big landmark. So first of all, arrive in Boston. If I still have money and energy at the time, I can arrive in Maine. I guess maybe I prefer to arrive in the border city between the United States and Canada.
It's really cool that you're embarking on this trip. It sounds like it's been a really enlightening experience in general, and one that's taught a lot of really personal and cool lessons as well.
Oh, yeah.
And we wish you well on the rest of the trip. We're honored that you decided to stop in Blackhawk in the Peak to Peak area, because it's a beautiful area. And
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for coming on. This was incredible.
Yeah, this is my first time to attend a podcast, and I'm really excited and very glad for having me to attend the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex Lee, for coming on board. It was absolutely incredible getting to interview you and hear your thoughts about why you're standing up for the issues you believe you need to stand up for. It was absolutely incredible, and I share a lot of his personal sentiments about keeping a little bit of individual hope even during the darkest of times, because who knows, that little bit of hope could allow you to work towards the things that you want to see change in the world. So thank you so much, Alex. It was incredible hearing your thoughts on this live and in the same room with you. It was great meeting you. It was great interviewing you. It was just, I'm so honored that I got to have that experience. If you want to learn more about the Warm Showers program, go to warmshowers.org to see if you want to become a member today, or at the very least to learn more about it. I'm not going to say the actual website because it's a really long website, but in the article that I wrote for the physical paper, I also linked an article that was written for Voices of America that you should check out if you want to learn more about Alex Lee, his personal history, how he came to the personal views that he has today, and why he embarked on this biking trip in the first place. Again, thank you so much, Alex Lee, for coming on this week's podcast. We really appreciate it, and it was an honor interviewing you.
And now, to the news desk. This week's print edition features photos and a print story about Alex Lee, Madame Lou Bunch Day, the Gilpin Library art opening, half a dozen local government stories, police and fire reports, astrology, and more. Check it on stands across the Peak to Peak region.
Peak to Peak musicians and artists, we're looking for you. Would you like a feature story and a print edition of The Mountaineer on our podcast, website, or social media? Interviews are completed in person with our professional journalists. We are your community newspaper and podcast. Interested? Email publisher@themountaineer.com to get on the list for upcoming editions.
Check out this week's music feature with Mark Vossler, as well as our full music listing, including where to be and what to see across the Peak to Peak.
This week's Backdoor Theater movie is Suicide Squad, rated R. The movie runs Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. with a matinee on Saturday at 2 p.m.
Brightwood Music in Nederland rents all of your needed school instruments for band and orchestra for the full school year. They also rent instruments by the day, week, and month. Brightwood Music is family-owned and operated and has been a Nederland staple for more than a decade. They are located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, Unit 109 in Nederland, and can be reached at 303-258-8863, or you can find them on Facebook at Brightwood Music.
Hello, my name is Jamie Lammers, and this is my interview with local singer-songwriter Mark Vossler.
My name is Mark Vossler.
And you're a local singer-songwriter?
I am. I do have some of my own stuff, but I do a lot of covers of a variety of different things. I definitely have some favorite genres and bands and so forth. But
You're going to be performing at UC Brews on the 29th, correct?
That's right. Yeah, excited for it.
Can you talk a little bit more about the performance and what's going to happen that night?
Yeah, sure. So I do a couple of different things. I play in a full band called Built to Last, but this project at Busey is called Gratefully Acoustic. And so I've kind of been at it for a while with Gratefully Acoustic, which can be any number of different formats. But Gratefully Acoustic, as the name implies, I definitely borrow on the Grateful Dead songbook for tunes that I play. But I also am able to bring in other stuff too that kind of catches my fancy. And other times I've played up there, I've wanted to work in some stuff from, let's say, like Yonder Mountain String Band. I'm a big fan of those folks. And So I just try to bring in more wide-ranging classic rock. I think probably like 70s singer-songwriter stuff really catches my ear.
And what are some of your favorite songs to play live?
Gosh, that's a really hard question to answer, and I feel like depending on the hour of the day, I could probably give you a different answer. I think, in general, songs that have sort of a message or a really good melodic kind of approach to it, I think there are different, certain songs have really cool lyrics. All credit to those songwriters who were phenomenal lyricists, and others really put some very interesting chord things together. So something like Tom Petty's Last Dance with Mary Jane is not terribly complex from a chord perspective in the way that whole song works, but the song itself is just kind of interesting and makes me think of what life in Los Angeles may have been like for an up-and-coming individual kind of jumping into that whole scene. But then a lot of the Grateful Dead stuff really speaks to me and jumps out to me, and Dirt and Yonder Mountain String Band or old bluegrass standards sort of have a soulfulness. So I gave you a long-winded answer there, but those are the kind of songs that are some of my favorites to play.
And how long have you been playing your own music and performing your own music, and what sparked that interest?
Yeah, so it goes back probably, I'm not going to talk about this for ages, but I probably really started getting into guitar when I was about 14, and one of my older brothers showed me a couple of things and gave me a couple of guitars to mess around on, and then it was more of like, I'm hearing this thing that I want to know how to do that myself. I see someone else doing it, or I hear them doing it, I want to know how to do it. So that was really sort of where it all emanated from, and I played in bands when I was in college, and that was a lot of fun to do, and I'm originally from Connecticut, but I moved out here almost 24 years ago. And so this latest incarnation has now had a run of, I've always played, but probably the past 10 years or so really started to focus more on trying to play out and see if it was something that was viable or not to do. And it seems to resonate. So that's sort of been the history of the whole thing. And it's been interesting to learn and grow and learn more about music and how the whole thing works.
And what have been some of your favorite aspects of performing live?
I'm a big proponent of the idea that music is this thing that's sort of a communal creation. It's not just the person strumming the guitar or hitting the notes or the beats or whatever. I think it's a combination of that person plus or people plus the other energy that's out there, the people that are listening to it. And so when you have those moments where it feels like those two things combine and people are into it and you can tell that there's this energy that's forming that you're a part of and they're a part of, those are the really cool moments.
What are you looking forward to most about this particular event on the 29th?
Since we've been kind of in and around the Nederland area, I'm always just impressed with, first of all, how many absolutely phenomenal musicians are up there. Obviously, the town has a wonderful energy and vibe to it. Wherever it is in town is really cool. I haven't had a chance to play at Busey yet, so I'm really looking forward to it being a new place and maybe, having a few new ears listening. I think it's just a wonderful place, and it's, I think, an appreciative musical audience, if that makes sense. I think they've got good food and brew some pretty good beer, so that's a good thing as well.
Is there anything else that you want to add about stuff that you love performing or your musical background or anything coming up that you want to promote?
No, just really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a fun afternoon. Sundays up in Nederland, out on a patio. It's hard to go wrong with that. So just looking forward to being in front of folks up in Nederland again. It's been a little bit, obviously, because of pandemic-related things and so forth. So just really excited to get back up there.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for me. I really appreciate you coming on board.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to spend some time with you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for letting me interview you. If you want to check out Gratefully Acoustic, they will be performing at Busey Brews on Sunday, August 29th, 2021, starting at 3 p.m.
Do you have a business in the Peak-to-Peak region? Send us your pitch. We cover every business from Allens Park to Central City with all the towns and communities in between. Email publisher@themountaineer.com to be included in an upcoming edition of our business short takes.
The Levitt Street Market is open every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Central City. The market has several vendors offering fresh produce, pottery, jams and jellies, local business booths, and more. Stop by 300 Gregory Street in Central City to check it out.
This weekend, the Nederlands Farmers Market is open Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check out all the tasty treats and definitely stop by for live music with the Witness Protection Program. The Farmers Market is located at the center of Nederland, between 1st and 2nd Street, also between Snyder and Highway 119.
And that's all for this week's episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. All editions of the Mountaineer podcast are available at our website at www.themountaineer.com and click on podcast.
You can also pick up this week's edition of The Mountaineer in Nederland, Gilpin County, Ward, Jamestown, Gold Hill, Ferncliff, and Allens Park. You can also order a PDF single edition, subscribe to the paper yearly or monthly online at www.themountaineer.com and click on subscribe. All print subscribers also receive free access to the website.
And go online to catch up on more local news. I'm Doug Armitage.
And I'm Barbara Hardt. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Being wrong. Been that way most of the time. I was happiest when I ain't had a dime. Now I know what it's to be 6 feet under. It was a
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak-to-Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.